Share with y'all my yummy queso recipe. You guys know I love cheese. Cheese is my favorite food group. So a good queso is like a standard. You got to have it, right? So I've kind of played around with this recipe years ago and came up with something that just our family likes. I think queso is one of those things you have to make it the way you like it. Sometimes people like it super thick. They like it with meat, without meat. And this one, this is our recipe. So I'm going to share that with you. It starts off with making your own salsa, which I think is amazing. Not only is it super tasty and fresh and delicious, but it's also super economical. So if you buy a really good, like fancy gourmet salsa, it's about $5 for a 16-ounce jar. I think this makes 30 ounces and it is, I think last time I checked it, it's like $1.65 or something crazy like that. So first step, you got to make some salsa. So let me show you how that works. We're going to use, of course, our Power Chef. And the first thing I'm going to do is chop up an onion and some garlic. You can use a red onion, you can use a yellow onion, whatever you prefer. I put about 3 or 4 cloves of garlic and about a medium onion or half of a large onion. Real quick though, I do want to point out I saved one of my garlics. I learned this from Judy years ago, and it's like, wow, why didn't I learn that? You know, why didn't I know this earlier? But if you take a clove of garlic that's not peeled, you put it in a snack cup and put it in your microwave. I'm looking at my microwave over there. You put it in your microwave for 30 seconds. It will pop like almost like a kernel of popcorn. It'll pop out of its shell. So I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me come around my counter so I can show y'all up close and personal. In fact, I'm going to make this larger here. Well, maybe I'm not. All right, so it's going to look like this. So whenever it pops out of its shell so that you can just, voila, peel the shell right off and it comes right out perfectly. So if you know you're going to chop up your garlic and you don't need it to look pretty, you know, it still looks pretty, but you don't need it for anything special. It's a super easy way to get the garlic out of the peel without smashing it everywhere. So I have in the base of our Power Chef a small, medium-ish onion, 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. We're gonna chop that pretty fine. Give it about 10 pulls. I like to chop it fine so when I scoop it into there, I don't get big chunks of onion. So I want it to be kind of tiny. The next step is cilantro. In this recipe, I believe this recipe shows like a handful of cilantro, a cup of cilantro. Go big. Just take the whole bunch of cilantro, wash it in some cold water. When you wash cilantro in cold water, I don't know what it does to it, but I found this out. To me, it just brightens it up. It like opens up those leaves and makes it so bright and green, and then just kind of lay it out on some paper towels. I store it in my modular mates, not washed, so dirty, and then wash it right before I use it. Cilantro is one of the herbs that you can chop the stem, so you can put the whole stem in there. You don't have to peel the leaf off. Look how much I'm putting in there. Put the whole thing in there. But you can chop the stem. The stem has a ton of flavor. That's where a lot of the oils are. If you go to chop up like a parsley or something, the stem is going to be bitter. So you don't want to do that. But with your cilantro, go ahead and put the whole thing in there. All right. And this is where if you're showing, let me stop talking so maybe this isn't too loud for y'all to hear. If you're showing the Power Chef, and you show how it will chop an onion and a cilantro, this will sell it. I'm telling you right now, this will sell it. Look how tiny that is. Super tiny. So get that good and chopped up. And you want this to be small, so you don't want big chunks. If you try to put your cilantro or your onion and do this in a food processor, it liquefies it. Like it doesn't chop it to this consistency you want it to. That's why the Power Chef's so amazing. All right, next we're gonna put in a can of diced tomatoes. You wanna get the diced tomatoes that don't have any seasoning to them. So I do get the roasted diced tomatoes, but I don't get the ones that have garlic, onion, or any of that kind of stuff in there. Next, you're gonna put the juice of a lime. Someday we're gonna have our zest and press back, but until then, borrow your friends. It'll be back. It has to be. All right. So the juice of 1 lime, put fresh lime juice in there. And the lime juice adds the acidity to this that really just I don't know what it does, but it brings out, because I've forgotten it before. You ever done that to a recipe and you're tasting and you're like, this just doesn't taste the same. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot something. So add your lime juice. It makes a difference. And then you're going to put a little bit of about a tablespoon of your Southwest Chipotle seasoning. You can always go back and add more. Funny story about Southwest Chipotle seasoning. I'm setting up for rally and I go to pull the Southwest Chipotle seasoning out. It's empty. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's okay. I have all of the ingredients we need. Whipped up a batch real quick. We're set with Southwest Chipotle now. All right, so that's 6 ingredients: onion, garlic, cilantro, Southwest Chipotle. What did I forget? Lime juice. I forgot something. It's 6 ingredients: onion, cilantro, garlic, lime juice, tomatoes, Southwest Chipotle. 6. I can count to 6. All right, now chop this up pretty good. And this is going to be salsa. Great salsa. Put it in your omelets. Dip it in your chips. Delicious. Good to go. And what I'm going to do with it now is I'm going to take our stack cooker. So beautiful stack cooker. Judy told you about this earlier. I learned a word. I watched someone demonstrate a stack cooker and they used the word polylexan, which is a great way to kind of, especially now we do so many things virtually, and you want to tell someone it's not like your typical plastic. It's, you know, it's a hard material. If you use the word polylexan, I think that kind of conveys, oh, okay, I know what that consistency is. So you want to take a 32-ounce block of Velveeta cheese, cube it up, and you want to put that into the base of your stack cooker. What's really cool about your stack cooker is you can melt cheese in here and it's just going to come right off of the side. So it doesn't, if you've ever like tried to microwave or melt cheese, if you don't have the right container, it's just going to stick to the side and it is disgusting. Very difficult to clean. All right, so we have our salsa all made here with 32 ounces of, if you're making a larger batch, we're making a larger batch tonight. So 32 ounces of your Velveeta cheese, and I'm gonna add about half of the salsa. So a pretty good amount of the salsa. I'll leave a little bit behind, maybe even about 2/3. Again, you're gonna make it be the consistency you want for your family and the taste you want. But these two blended together, so delicious. People are gonna be like, "What? How did you get this queso? Where'd you get it from?" The next thing we're gonna do is I've got Judy talked about this as well. This is the large micro pitcher, and I have a cup of milk. You can use half and half. You can use milk, whichever you prefer. We're gonna put that in there, and then we're gonna heat this up 50% power for 5 minutes. Give it a stir, and then you have to do about like 30-second intervals. Just give it a stir. Make sure it's all blended together. And it is delicious. It will thicken as it sits. So once you get it really good and hot and get it blended together, let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then it'll thicken up just a little bit more as it sits there. But I'm telling you guys, it feeds a ton. 32 ounces is a lot. So if you want to cut it in half, that's fine. You would just add less of the salsa. But go ahead and make the whole batch of salsa because you can use that. This stays in your refrigerator for like 3 weeks. It's really, really good. All right, so I hope you guys make this at New Year's. It's so good. I'm gonna go heat this up and try not to eat it.
So what time?
I hope.
You only need a couple minutes. Is that right, Inke? And then we'll all be at your door waiting for queso.
Yeah, I'm not gonna cook it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,